Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wondered why some people naturally cooperate and others are always trying to win, even in simple games? Well, this fascinating new study dives deep into the personality traits that might be guiding these choices. Imagine playing a game with someone face-to-face where you can see their every move, their gaze, and how much they're scoring. This is a much more real-world scenario than the old computer games we used to play where you'd make a decision, then wait to see what happened. This new approach lets us see how cooperation and competition actually unfold between two real people in real time. What makes us team players or lone wolves when the stakes are low, but the interaction is constant? These researchers wanted to understand how our personalities affect how we play together or against each other. They focused on two big personality ideas: agency, which is about being assertive and taking charge, and communion, which is about being warm, friendly, and wanting to connect with others. They suspected the people with higher communion might be more cooperative, while those with higher agency might be more competitive. So how did they test this? They brought in 125 male participants, all young adults, and divided them into groups. Then, each person played a game with every other person in their group. This is called a round-robin design, and it's a really smart way to see how everyone influences everyone else. For about 20 minutes, pairs of participants played a game called the Cooperation Competition Foraging Task, or CCF for short. They sat across from each other, with a special transparent screen separating them. On this screen, they could see each other's cursors, which were controlled by mouse. The game involved collecting targets. There were single targets that you could grab all for yourself, and joint targets that you had to both work on at the same time to collect. This setup was clever. The payout for single targets was always the same, but the joint targets had different rewards. One type was better for you, giving you more money and less for your partner. The other type was better for your partner. The game was designed so that if things were balanced, the average earning per target was the same whether you played cooperatively or competitively. This meant participants were free to choose their strategy without a clear financial obvious best choice. They could keep an eye on their partner, see what they were doing, and adjust their own strategy. Before they even played the game, participants filled out questionnaires to measure their personality. Specifically, they looked at those dimensions of agency and communion we talked about earlier, based on a model called the interpersonal circumplex. After they collected all the game data, they ran some fancy statistical tests. They wanted to see if the average personality of the pair mattered more, or maybe if one person's extreme traits could really push the dyad's behavior. It turned out that the average personality of the dyad was a better predictor. This means that the overall vibe of the pair's personalities was more important than just one super dominant or super friendly person. And here is one of the key findings: the more communal the dyad, meaning the higher their average warmth and willingness to connect, the less likely they were to go for those individually rewarding single targets. In simpler terms, when both people in a pair were generally warm and cooperative, they tended to work together more. They collected fewer selfish targets and more of the joint ones. This confirms their prediction that communion leads to cooperation. Interestingly, agency, that dominant assertive trait, didn't show a strong link to being more competitive in this specific game setup. So, just being assertive didn't automatically mean you'd grab all the solo targets. This might be because in this game, being too assertive could actually backfire if your partner isn't on the same page. Another crucial finding was about history. The study showed that how a pair played in one session strongly predicted how they played in the next. If they were cooperative before, they tended to stay cooperative. If they were competitive, they tended to stay competitive. This shows that we learn and adapt based on our past interactions with specific partners. It is like building a small relationship history within the game. The researchers also noticed that in the very first session they played, dyads took longer to settle on a strategy. They explored more, showing that learning and figuring out your partner is a process. But over time, and especially with repeated sessions, they found that dyads tended to become more cooperative. This suggests that with experience and seeing positive outcomes from working together, people naturally lean towards cooperation. Now, like all studies, this one has some limitations. They tested only male participants, so we don't know if women would behave the same way. They also use young adults from a Western society. So we can't automatically say these findings apply to everyone everywhere or across different age groups or cultural backgrounds. Also, the game was played in a lab, which is a bit different from real life, even though this setup was designed to be very transparent. But despite these limitations, this research is super important. It shows that when we can see and react to our partners in real time, our personalities really do play a role in how we interact. Those who are more communal tend to be more cooperative, and we learn and adapt our strategies based on our past experiences with specific people. What does this mean for us? It suggests that our core personality traits don't disappear just because we're in a game, but at the same time, we're not stuck with them. We can learn, adapt, and even become more cooperative through experience and understanding our partners. It's a dance between who we are and who we become in interaction. Moving forward, researchers can use these advanced platforms to look even deeper. They can separate out the influence of an individual, their partner, and the unique relationship they form. And imagine combining this with brain scans or heart rate monitors to see exactly what is happening inside our heads and bodies as we cooperate or compete. That would be amazing. This study really shines a light on the complex interplay between who we are as individuals and how we navigate the social world, especially when we can see and react to each other directly. It's a great example of how new experimental tools can help us understand these fundamental human behaviors in more realistic ways. What do you think about these findings? Are you more of a cooperative or competitive player? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this dive into the science of social interaction, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more fascinating research breakdowns. Thanks for watching, and well, see you in the next one.